You were not placed here to rehearse a life that does not belong to you. You were not born to tiptoe around the opinions of others like a ghost in your own story, asking the world for permission to be what your soul already knows it is. There comes a moment not just in a lifetime, but in a breath where you are called to decide not what you do, but who you are, not who you were told to be, not who you were raised to perform as, but who you truly are beneath the roles, the wounds, the projections, and the applause. Decide who you are, not with your mind, but with your being. Decide it in the silence. Decide it in the ache of discontent. Decide it when the noise of the world grows loud and you can't hear yourself think. Because that's when the voice of your spirit finally whispers loud enough for you to feel it not with your ears, but with your knowing. And once you do, live like it. Live like your soul is not on trial. Live like you are the author, not the echo. Live like you are what you came here to remember, not what the world tried to make you forget. The moment you decide who you are, the world begins to rearrange, because it changes, but because you do. You no longer bend to fit the mold, you melt it. There is no outside permission slip required for you to become yourself. The only permission is the sacred yes you give yourself in the stillness, the yes that feels like coming home. The yes that says, I remember now, I am not this fear. I am not this shame. I am not this endless loop of proving. I am not the mask I wear to survive. I am the presence beneath it all. You see, the moment you decide who you are, life stops happening to you and starts responding through you. The energy of creation flows where alignment is present. And alignment is born the moment your inner truth and outer choices begin to mirror one another like a lake finally still enough to reflect the sky. So I ask you, not gently, but lovingly, what are you waiting for? Another sign? Another wound? Another approval from someone who doesn't even know their own worth? Decide. Decide that you are not here to perform, you are here to embody. Decide that you don't need to beg for crumbs of validation when your soul is already seated at the table of the divine. Decide that you are not the echo of your trauma, but the voice that rises from its ashes. And then live like it. Live like joy is your natural state and not a reward you earn through suffering. Live like peace is not a luxury, but your birthright. Live like you have nothing left to prove, because who you are is not up for negotiation. You see, there is a certain grace that enters the life of someone who has decided. They don't chase, they don't compete. They don't explain their path to those who've never dared to walk their own. They walk with clarity, they walk with peace. They walk with God, not in some distant temple, but in the steady beat of their awakened heart. And maybe that's what you forgot, that the divine does not ask you to earn your worthiness. It simply asks you to remember it. You don't need to perform your way into being enough. You only need to stop pretending that you're not. Because when you know who you are, you stop shrinking for comfort and start expanding for truth. And let me tell you something powerful. When you decide who you are, everything you thought you needed starts to shift. You no longer seek love from those who cannot give it. You no longer wear masks in rooms that drain your spirit. You no longer agree to play roles that betray your essence. You begin to live in harmony with your own frequency, and that, my friend, is where the miracle begins. Because the universe does not respond to who you wish you were. It responds to who you are. And who you are, at your core, is not wounded. It is not small. It is not broken. Who you are is consciousness wrapped in form. You are an idea in the mind of God made flesh. You are light in motion. You are not becoming enough. You are unveiling it. So why then do you doubt? Why do you still hand the pen of your life over to voices that do not know the plot? Why do you allow fear to write your script in invisible ink so that when you look back, you can't even find the pages you lived through? Take the pen back. Write boldly. Write truthfully. Write with the ink of your own soul. Because there is something sacred about a person who has decided to live in truth. They no longer hustle to be seen, they radiate. They no longer conform, they align. They no longer shrink, they expand. And when they speak, it is not for applause. It is for clarity. It is for resonance. It is because their soul can no longer bear the weight of pretending. That is the call for you now. Decide who you are, not based on what happened to you, but based on what was always true before the world touched you, before the world labeled you, before the world confused you. Because underneath all of that, there is still a river that knows its way back to the ocean. There is still a flame that remembers how to burn. There is still a child in you that never forgot how to believe in magic. That child was never wrong. The world was. You were not wrong to want to dance in your own rhythm. You were not wrong to question the cages they called comfort. You were not wrong to feel that there was something deeper calling you from within the stillness. That voice, that whisper, that ache, that was truth. Now live like it. Live like every breath is a vote for freedom. Live like your yes is sacred and your no is holy. Live like your time is not something to trade for acceptance, but to devote to your becoming. Because when you live from the place of inner decision, you stop reacting and start creating. You stop fearing death and start honoring life. And when people ask, who do you think you are? You will answer, not with defensiveness, but with peace. I am what I decided. I am what I remembered. I am what I've always been, even when I forgot. And I live like it. The moment you decide who you are, you enter a sacred contract, not with the world, but with your soul. And this contract is not written on paper. It is not notarized by society or signed with ink. It is carved into your being like the sunrise carving light into a sleeping sky. It is felt in the marrow of your bones when you finally stop trying to outrun yourself. You don't just decide with your thoughts. You decide with your energy. You decide with the way you breathe when you no longer hold yourself hostage to the expectations of others. You decide with the way you walk away from what once kept you small, and you do not explain why you are not returning. This decision, this sacred inner declaration, doesn't require a celebration. It requires congruence. It calls you to align the way you speak with the way your spirit whispers. It asks that your actions stop apologizing for your essence. And it demands that you stop postponing your joy for some mythical moment when all the pieces fall into place. Because the only piece that was ever missing was you. The real you, the undiluted you, the radiant, whole, soul-infused you that didn't need to become anything to be worthy of everything. You see, we live in a world that sells us mirrors made of lies. It tells us we must earn love, that we must compete to matter, that we must be someone else to be acceptable. But your soul has never bought into that currency. Your soul speaks in a different language. It doesn't shout, it doesn't bargain, it doesn't manipulate, it waits, it watches. And when you finally sit still long enough to listen not with your ears, but with your being, it says, welcome back, I've been here the whole time. That voice within you is not a stranger. It is the truest friend you've ever had. It's the one who doesn't care about your resume, your likes, your accolades, or your failures. It only asks one thing. Will you be loyal to me now? Will you finally be loyal to your essence, even if it makes you misunderstood? Will you be loyal to your peace, even if it makes you walk alone for a while? Will you be loyal to your light, even if the world prefers your shadow? Because when you decide who you are, and I mean truly decide, you will lose many things. You will lose the need to be liked. You will lose the craving for external validation. You will lose the habit of shrinking when you feel too powerful. But you will gain something that can never be taken. The unshakable, unbreakable, unmovable knowing that you are living your life, not someone else's version of it. And from that knowing, freedom blooms. A freedom that is not dependent on circumstances, a freedom that is not a result of control, but a surrender to truth. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become powerful. Because you are no longer chasing life, you are creating it. Not from desperation, but from clarity, Not from fear, but from purpose. Not from pain, but from presence. This is not a performance. This is a homecoming. And when you come home to yourself, everything that is not yours begins to fall away. The roles, the stories, the personas, the defenses, all of it begins to dissolve like mist under morning light. And in its place rises something ancient, something real, something infinite. You, the you that never needed fixing, the you that was never truly broken, only buried. You were never here to impress. You were here to express. You were never here to hustle your way into worthiness. You were here to embody the worth that was already breathed into you. And that embodiment begins when you stop waiting and start living like the decision has already been made. So decide again, not tomorrow, not when you're ready, now. Decide that you are not a problem to be solved, but a soul to be honored. Decide that your dreams are not optional. They are sacred assignments written into your very DNA. Decide that your presence is not an accident. It is a deliberate act of creation by a source that knows no error. And once you decide, the next step is clear. Live like it. Live like you have remembered something eternal. Live like you have nothing left to hide, only more light to reveal. Live like your breath is a prayer and your walk is a sermon. Live like your yes shapes worlds and your no creates space for miracles. Because it does. And when you live like that, the world begins to shift. Not because the world is different, but because you are. You begin to magnetize everything that resonates with your frequency. You begin to release everything that doesn't, and you stop fearing loss. Because you understand now what is real cannot be taken, and what is taken was never real. You don't chase, you attract. You don't force, you flow. You don't demand, you declare, because you have already decided, and your decision is now the blueprint of your reality. Even the cells in your body begin to realign when you live in truth. Even your heartbeat becomes a song of remembrance. And in that rhythm, you walk not as a seeker, but as one who is already found. So if you've forgotten who you are, this is your remembering. If you've abandoned your truth for safety, this is your return. If you've dimmed your light to belong, this is your rising. You were never meant to be small enough to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You were never meant to live a life so quiet that your soul fell asleep in it. You were meant to decide to live awake, to walk boldly into the life that only you can live. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. You are simply being called right now to remember what you once decided before the world taught you to forget. So remember and live like it. And as we continue down this sacred path of inner declaration, let it be known, the soul does not whisper lightly. When the soul speaks, it is not with urgency, but with eternity. It has waited lifetimes for you to hear. It has waited through your betrayals of self, through your temporary amnesia, through your search for identity in places it could never be found. The soul is not impatient, but it is relentless. It will not compete for your attention with the noise of the world, but it will stay. And that is love, that is truth, that is home. When you decide who you are no longer afraid of shedding. You become a master of releasing, because now you understand nothing real is ever lost. Only illusions fall away. Only masks get discarded. And with every layer you shed, with every old belief you burn at the altar of your becoming, you get lighter, freer, truer. Deciding who you are is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone ancient to you that existed before the world taught you to perform, before the ego taught you to defend, before your pain taught you to doubt. The real youth of soul you is not in need of change. It is in need of liberation. And when you live like that, when you live from that place, something miraculous begins to occur. You stop needing others to mirror your worth. You stop auditioning for love. You were already born from. You stop compromising with mediocrity, not out of arrogance, but because truth has become your new standard. And truth, my friend, is not always comfortable, but it is always healing. It is always freeing. It is always aligning you with the life you came here to live. Not a life of mere survival, but a life of significance, a life of depth, a life where peace is not occasional, it is your constant companion. A life where you stop trying to get ahead and start walking in step with the rhythm of your soul. That rhythm may not match the tempo of society. That rhythm may look like stillness in a world that worships speed. That rhythm may require you to say no to things others call success, to say yes to things that don't make sense to their logic, but make perfect sense to your spirit. Because when you live from your decision, your divine decision, your life becomes a declaration, not a declaration of defiance, but of alignment. Not rebellion, but remembrance. Not force, but flow. And you will begin to notice you speak differently. You walk into a room and no longer seek to be chosen. You choose yourself silently, fully. You sit across from others and listen, not to respond, but to understand, because you are no longer protecting a false self that needs to prove anything. You create not to impress, but to express, because your joy is no longer conditional on being received. It is self-generating. It is sacred. It is enough. And if you fall out of alignment, as we all do, you will not shame yourself. You will return gently, bravely, without drama, because you know now that coming home to yourself is not a one-time event. It is a daily devotion. You make that decision again, every morning, with every breath. Today, I decide who I am. Today, I walk like it. Today, I speak like it. Today, I rest like it. Today, I love like it. And when the old voices rise, the ones that say, you are not enough, not ready, not deserving, you will not argue with them, you will not battle them. You will simply turn your gaze inward, breathe, and return to the knowing. Because once you've made the decision, you don't need to convince anyone else. You only need to live it. Let your life be the evidence. Let your peace be the proof. Let your presence be the sermon. Let your alignment be the miracle that speaks louder than your words ever could. Because when you decide who you are and live like it, you become unshakable, not because life becomes easy, but because you become rooted, anchored, centered in a self that is no longer defined by the external. You become the calm in the chaos, the light in the fog, the truth in the noise. And that truth, your truth, is what the world needs. Not a version of you polished for approval, not a diluted self painted for performance, but the raw, radiant, real you. The one that chose to remember, the one that chose to return, the one that chose to decide who they are and to live like it. So now, the question is no longer who are you trying to become? The question is, who have you already decided to be? And what would it look like if you finally, truly, courageously, unapologetically lived like it? And as the sun knows no shame in shining, may you know no shame in becoming. Let the decision settle in your bones, not just as a moment, but as a movement within your being. Because deciding who you are is not about one single thunderous revelation. It is about learning to choose yourself over and over, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet, when no one is watching, when nothing grand is happening, when the world has turned its gaze elsewhere. In those unseen moments, when you could shrink or delay or distract you, rise instead, not for them, for you. Because you finally understand that authenticity is not about performance, it's about presence, it's about integrity, it's about being one with your truth, even when your voice shakes, even when the past echoes, even when the old self claws at the door, asking for one more day of your time. But you don't give it, because you've decided to live like love is not something to chase, it's what you are. You've decided to walk like forgiveness isn't weakness, it's liberation. You've decided to create, like your existence is already a masterpiece. And when you do this, you become a lighthouse not by trying to fix others, but by becoming unignorable in your radiance. You don't need to tell people what you're becoming, your energy tells them. Your presence tells them, your peace tells them. You become an example, not by being perfect, but by being whole. You see, wholeness does not come from achievement. It comes from alignment. It comes from the radical honesty of saying, this is who I am now, and allowing that to evolve, deepen, and mature without shame. Because the truth is, the real you isn't static. The real you is ever becoming, ever unfolding, ever blooming into greater expressions of love, wisdom, and peace. And that becoming it begins the moment you decide, because in that decision, you stop living from memory and start living from imagination. You stop rehearsing the past and begin sculpting the now. You stop telling the same old stories of pain, rejection, and limitation, and you start speaking new life into your reality. I am whole. I am powerful. I am divine. I am home. And when you say those words, not just with your mouth, but with your spirit, the world responds, the universe leans in, it says, they remember. And in that remembrance, doors open. Paths clear, people align, not because they were waiting, but because you were. And now that you've arrived, the unfolding begins. You see, your decision to live in truth is not just for you. It's for everyone your light will ever touch. Every stranger who crosses your path, every child who watches your example, every soul silently praying for permission to be real. Your authenticity gives others courage to be authentic. Your wholeness gives others permission to heal. Your peace ripples outward in ways you will never fully see, but the impact is real. So don't delay. Don't wait until the pain forces you. Don't wait until the fear fades. Don't wait until the world claps for you. The applause will never be loud enough to quiet your soul if you haven't yet made peace with yourself. Choose peace now. Choose you now. And live like the decision has already been made. Because the truth is, you decided who you are long before this moment. You decided in the silence between breaths. You decided in the ache that would no longer let you lie. You decided in the tears that fell without explanation. You decided in that moment, you said, enough. Enough hiding. Enough shrinking. Enough waiting. And now you're not just ready, you're aligned. So live like it. Speak like it. Walk like it. Create like it. Breathe like it. Because your life is no longer a performance. It is a prayer. And your soul is no longer asleep. It is awake. Fully, radiantly, irreversibly awake. And now, nothing can ever be the same again. Because once you decide who you are and live like it, you become unstoppable. Not because the path is easy, but because you've remembered that you are the path and there is no going back. Only forward, only freedom, only truth. Only now, you are home. Live like it. There's something holy about a life that no longer seeks escape, a life that no longer fantasizes about someday or waits for a better version of itself to begin, a life that opens its eyes to the miracle of this moment, this breath, this know, and says, I'm no longer at war with myself. There is no longer a version of me I am running from or toward. There is only this presence, and in this presence, I am already complete. That's when the real transformation begins. When the decision to live like yourselfully, unapologetically, and joyfully as no longer an idea, but a devotion. A sacred practice of remembering not once, but moment by moment. You wake up, and before the world claims your attention, you place your hand on your heart and whisper, today, I walk with the soul at the front. And your day no longer begins with stress, but with reverence. You look at your reflection, not to criticize or adjust, but to acknowledge the divine being inhabiting your body. You don't see flaws, you see symbols. Your eyes, portals, your scars, maps, Your skin, a temporary home for something eternal, and something inside you softens. You stop living to fix yourself. You start living to express yourself. Not because you are without wounds, but because you are no longer defined by them. Healing, after all, does not mean erasing the pain. It means walking with it gently until it no longer has authority over your identity. And this is what few are ever taught. You do not have to wait to feel perfect before living truthfully. The decision does not require perfection. It requires honesty, radical, naked, compassionate honesty. The kind that says, yes, I've been hurt, but I am not my hurt. Yes, I've made mistakes, but I am not my past. Yes, I've been lost, but I've always been whole underneath. That honesty is the gateway to grace. And grace, once it touches your life, changes the geometry of everything. Suddenly, you are no longer holding the world together with tension. You are holding yourself together with love. You are no longer walking on eggshells through life. You are dancing barefoot on sacred ground. You are no longer censoring your spirit for the comfort of others. You are channeling your truth like water flowing from a higher mountain. That is what it means to live like you've decided who you are. It means the masks fall off. Not because you've grown tired, but because you've grown true. It means the silence inside you becomes louder than the noise around you. It means you stop bargaining with your purpose, and instead, finally, you embody it. You become the message. Not the messenger trying to convince, but the living, breathing embodiment of what it means to be free. And when others see you, when they feel you, they may not know what has changed. But something in their soul will stir. Something in them will say, this is what it looks like when someone remembers. Because that's what you've done, haven't you? You've remembered. You've remembered that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of clarity. You've remembered that joy isn't the result of outcomes, it's the natural expression of alignment. You've remembered that power isn't dominance over others, it's presence within yourself. And now, with this remembering, you move differently. You don't rush. You don't strive. You walk with the knowing that everything that is yours is moving toward you because you have finally aligned your being with your becoming. This is not Magichette's law. This is not hope, it's vibration. This is not ambition, it's surrender. Because when you surrender to the truth of who you are, your entire life becomes a ripple of liberation. You liberate your mind from old programming. You liberate your emotions from stagnation. You liberate your nervous system from the chronic grip of survival. You exhale the end, in that breath, your soul takes the lead. So take another breath now, not as a routine, but as a revolution. Breathe in the knowing, I am already what I was searching for. Breathe out the lie, I am not enough. Breathe in the truth. My being is my becoming. Breathe out the performance. I have nothing to prove. And in this moment, feel what has always been here. Stillness, warmth, knowing. The gentle but undeniable hum of existence saying, you are on time, you are seen, you are not late, you are life expressing itself in one perfect unfolding form. Let that be enough. Let that be more than enough. Because when you truly decide who you are and live like it, you don't just change your life, you change your relationship with life itself. You no longer experience yourself as separate from the world. You realize you are the world waking up to itself. The river is not apart from the ocean, it is simply on its way home. And so are you. This is what you were born for. To wake up in the middle of the storm and say, I am not the wind, I am the sky. To rise from the ashes and whisper, I was never the fire, I was the flame behind it. To walk through the world, not to escape it, but to illuminate it. And now, in this very breath, the liberation has already begun. Not because anything outside has changed, but because you have, and that is where all transformation begins. From within. In the quiet moments between your breaths, there exists a stillness, a peace so profound it speaks directly to your soul. It's there beneath the noise of the world, beneath the thoughts that swirl like leaves caught in a storm. It's in that space, that sacred moment, where everything you've ever sought is already present. You just need to breathe, to release, and to realign. You've spent so much of your life chasing approval, chasing success, chasing a sense of fulfillment that always seemed just beyond reach. You've carried burdens that weren't yours to carry. You've held on to old stories, old wounds, old beliefs about who you are. But I ask you, my friend, who are you really? Beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the masks you've worn, beneath the roles you've played, who are you in your truest essence? The answer is simple. You are. You are the breath of life itself. You are a divine being, not confined by the limitations of the ego. The truth of who you are is vast, limitless, and timeless. It's not bound by the past, nor does it seek the future. It simply is. In the present moment, you are the eternal now. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You forgot that you are enough. You forgot that everything you need to be whole is already inside of you. And so you looked outside yourself for answers. You searched for meaning in achievements, in possessions, in the opinions of others, but you have always been complete, even in your moments of struggle, even in your deepest pain. What if I told you that healing begins the moment you release the illusion of separation? The moment you stop identifying with the wounds of your past and instead choose to embrace the truth that you are not your pain. You are not your story. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are so much more than all of that. When you breathe, you are aligning yourself with the divine rhythm of the universe. Every inhale connects you to the life force that flows through all things. Every exhale is an opportunity to release what no longer serves you, to release the weight of regret, to release the fear of the unknown, to release the judgments you've placed upon yourself and others. In each breath, there is an invitation to surrender. Surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to let go of the illusion of control and trust in the flow of life. Life does not need to be forced. It does not need to be controlled. It is a river, constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly evolving. The more you resist the flow, the more you suffer. But when you surrender, when you let go of the need to control, of the need to define, of the need to hold on you, find peace, you realign with the wisdom of the universe. You see, the universe is always speaking to you. It is always guiding you. It whispers to you through the stillness of your heart, through the synchronicities in your life, through the quiet nudges that lead you to the next step on your journey. But in order to hear this guidance, you must first quiet the noise within. You must release the clutter of your thoughts, the distractions of your ego, and realign yourself with your higher truth. When you realign, you remember who you truly are. You remember your power. You remember your purpose. You remember that you are a divine being capable of creating miracles in your life. You remember that you are worthy of love, of abundance, of joy, simply because you exist. You are not defined by your past, by your mistakes, or by the opinions of others. You are defined by the love that flows through you, by the light that shines from within you. But the first step to realignment is letting go. Letting go of the beliefs that tell you that you are not enough. Letting go of the fear that keeps you stuck. Letting go of the anger, the resentment, the pain that you've been holding on to. You don't need to carry that anymore. You are not meant to walk through this life weighed down by the past. You are meant to soar, breathe, release, realign. This is the mantra of your soul. This is the rhythm that will guide you home to yourself. You cannot change the past, but you can choose to release its grip on you. You cannot control the future, but you can choose to trust in the unfolding of your life. You cannot change the world overnight, but you can change your world by choosing to align with the truth of who you are. And when you align with that truth, everything begins to shift. Your relationships change, your health improves, your sense of purpose deepens. You begin to attract the opportunities, the people, and the circumstances that are in harmony with your highest good. You begin to live from a place of peace, of love, of joy, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer defined by external circumstances. You are defined by your inner peace. You are defined by your ability to breathe through life's challenges, to release what no longer serves you, and to realign with the infinite power that flows through you. This is the true power of surrender. It is not about giving up. It is about giving in to the flow of life. It is about trusting that you are always supported, always guided, always loved. When you release the need for perfection, you open yourself to the beauty of imperfection. When you release the need for approval, you step into your own self-approval. When you release the need for control, you find true freedom. Freedom is not something that can be given to you by someone else. It is something you must claim for yourself. It is the freedom to be yourself, to follow your heart, to live your truth. It is the freedom to let go of the stories that no longer serve you and to embrace the story that is unfolding right now. It is the freedom to live in the present moment, to be fully alive, fully awake, and fully in tune with your soul. Breathe, release, realign. Let these words be a reminder of who you are. Let them be a reminder that you have the power to transform your life at any moment. Let them be a reminder that the key to peace, to joy, to abundance, and to freedom lies not in the world around you, but within you. The moment you choose to realign with your truth, the moment you choose to release the illusions of the ego, the moment you choose to breathe deeply into the present moment, everything changes. You are not a victim of life. You are the creator of your experience. The circumstances of your life do not define you. Your response to those circumstances does. You are the architect of your own reality, and when you breathe, when you release, when you realign, you unlock the door to infinite possibilities. So I invite you now, in this very moment, to take a deep breath, to feel the life force that flows through you, to release the burdens that you've been carrying, to realign with the truth of who you are. You are a divine being, worthy of all the love, all the peace, all the joy that life has to offer. You are enough, just as you are. And as you realign with this truth, know that everything you need to live a life of fulfillment, of purpose, of abundance is already within you. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust the wisdom of your soul. Breathe, release, realign, and know that you are home. And in this moment of stillness, when you surrender to the present, something extraordinary happens. You begin to feel the subtle rhythm of life, the beat of the universe that is always pulsating beneath your surface. You are not separate from this rhythm, you are part of it. Just as the ocean waves rise and fall, as the sun sets and rises, you too are part of this eternal flow. You were never meant to fight against it. You were meant to dance with it, to move in harmony with the ever-changing tides of existence. But the ego has a different idea. It whispers that you need more, that you must be somewhere else, that you must achieve, accumulate, become. It teaches you that the present moment is something to be outrun, something to be escaped. And in this escape, you lose touch with the life that is unfolding right before you. The truth is, the present moment is your sanctuary. It is the doorway to your soul. It is where you will find everything you are seeking. When you surrender to the now, you stop judging the moment as incomplete. You stop telling yourself that you will be happy when you have this, when you reach that, when the future arrives. No. You realize that peace is not found in the arrival, but in the journey. The future is not a destination, it is a projection. It is something your mind creates, and yet it does not exist until you bring it into being through your thoughts. It is fleeting, always ahead, and yet never quite here. The future will always be the thing you are moving toward, but when you come into the present, you realize you were already there all along. And in that realization, the grip of time loosens. You are no longer a prisoner of your past, nor are you enslaved by the endless pursuit of some far-off tomorrow. You stand in the truth that the only time that truly exists is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. And within this moment, there is everything, every answer, every opportunity, every experience that you will ever need. You are not lacking. You never were. You are whole. You are complete. Right now, imagine if you could live your life as though every moment matters, not because of what it leads to, but because of what it is. Imagine if you could embrace each experience, not as a stepping stone to something better, but as a divine expression of life itself. When you do this, life begins to transform. What you see as a challenge becomes an invitation to grow. What you see as an obstacle becomes an opportunity to rise. You begin to trust in the perfection of each moment, and that trust becomes your guiding light. The ego will try to convince you that it's not enough, that something else is needed to complete you. But this is the lie that keeps you bound. In truth, there is nothing outside of you that can complete the divine being you are. The completion is already inside of you, waiting to be recognized. It is the peace that resides in your heart, the love that resides in your soul, the wisdom that resides in your essence. You are already whole, already enough. You were born into this completeness. The moment you realize this, you stop looking outside yourself for validation. You stop chasing, and you begin to simply be. To live in the now means to let go of the need to control. It means releasing the attachment to outcomes, to the need to dictate how life should unfold. When you release the need to control, you open yourself to the flow of divine guidance, to the flow of life itself. And as you do, the world around you begins to change. You no longer see it as something to conquer, but as something to experience. You begin to see yourself as the creator of your life, not the victim of circumstance. You see that you have the power in every single moment to choose how you respond to life. But it all begins with the choice to stop running. The moment you stop chasing, you are free. You are free from the tyranny of time, from the pressure of the future, from the chains of the past. You are free to be, to live, to experience life as it is meant to be experienced in its full, vibrant, expansive beauty. And in that freedom, you become the fullest expression of yourself. The future will come in its own time. The future will unfold as it is meant to, and you will be ready for it when it arrives. But you cannot chase it, because the act of chasing keeps you out of the present. It keeps you disconnected from the life you are meant to live right now. And so, I ask you again, what would happen if you chose to live fully in this moment? What would happen if you stopped looking for something more and simply embraced what is? You would find peace. You would find joy. You would find fulfillment, not in what you have or have not done, but in the realization that you are already everything you need to be. Your life is unfolding in divine perfection, and the only thing that stands between you and the life you desire is your willingness to embrace the present. The only thing that keeps you from experiencing the fullness of life is your attachment to a future that is not yet here. When you release this attachment, you allow yourself to fully inhabit the now, and in the now, you will find everything you need. Life is not about arriving at a destination. It is about living fully in each moment. When you understand this, you will stop chasing a future that does not exist and start living a life that is already here. You will begin to see the divine in every moment, in every breath, in every experience. And in this, you will find that the life you've always dreamed of is not something that happens tomorrow. It is happening right now. You are whole. You are enough. You are complete. Right now, and in this moment, you are living your life in its fullest expression. The future will come, but it will only come when you stop chasing it. When you stop looking ahead and begin to look within, you will find that everything you've ever needed was already inside of you. Embrace the present, surrender to the now, and let the future unfold in its own time. You are already everything you are meant to be. Trust this truth, live it, and experience the miracle of life that is happening right now. There comes a quiet point in your life not marked by celebration or fanfare, where something subtle and sacred dawns within you, the realization that you no longer need to chase your own existence. Not because your desires have died, but because you've finally seen through them. You've outgrown the illusion that meaning is hidden in the next moment. You begin to understand that life is not meant to be pursued like a finish line. It is meant to be absorbed like a sunrise moment by glowing moment in full reverence. Beneath every moment of striving, there has always been a deeper ache, not for achievement, but for arrival. And this arrival isn't about stepping into some perfected future. It's about returning to a place within yourself that was never lost, only buried beneath noise. This is not a return to who you were. It is a return to who you've always been before you were told you had to become anything more than present. When you allow yourself to drop beneath the surface of your expectations, you begin to feel what is real. Not the projections of a better tomorrow, but the raw aliveness of what is here now, unfiltered, unpromised, unchased. In that rawness, a new intimacy with life is born. Not the kind built on plans, but the kind built on presence. Life starts to touch you differently when you stop standing outside of it, waiting for it to begin. This stillness isn't passive, it's fiercely alive. It's not an absence of motion, but a deeper kind of movement, one that doesn't rush toward the future, but flows from within the heart. You begin to see that the most important things cannot be scheduled, cannot be achieved, cannot be planned. They arrive quietly, like grace. And grace, as you'll come to know, only ever appears when you are no longer trying to summon it. In this space, where your breath meets your awareness, time dissolves. You stop measuring your life by the markers of progress and begin experiencing it by the depth of your presence. And it's here, not in some distant goal where joy becomes effortless, not because anything outside has changed, but because you've stopped resisting what is, because you've surrendered the need to be elsewhere. The deeper truth is this: your life is not waiting for you in a future accomplishment. It's waiting for you to return to the sacredness of being, without commentary, without comparison. It's waiting for you to notice what you've overlooked in your pursuit, the way your chest rises when you breathe, the way light spills across your skin, the way love has always spoken in silence. You don't need a reason to be at peace. You only need to stop bargaining with the moment you're in. The now doesn't demand anything from you, only your attention. And once you give it that, fully and without resistance, the world changes shape. Not because it becomes different, but because you begin to see clearly for the first time. What you thought was mundane begins to shimmer. What you thought was missing begins to emerge. There's a wisdom in this slowing down that transcends intellect. It's the wisdom of listening, not with your ears, but with your whole being. Listening to what life has been trying to say beneath your plans, that it was never the destination that mattered, but the presence you bring to the path itself. That it was never about what you could build, but how deeply you could belong right here, without delay. So let yourself land, not in the future you've been taught to idolize, but in the sacred fullness of where your feet already touch the earth. Let this moment be enough, not because you've stopped dreaming, but because you've remembered how to live. Let the soft, luminous truth of your being unfold, not as a product of striving, but as a natural expression of presence. This is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of your true arrival. And so, as you return home to this moment, to the rhythm of your breath, to the gentle quiet that exists beneath the noise of becoming, you begin to feel the soft unraveling of all the pressure you once carried. The pressure to be somewhere else, someone else. The pressure to catch up with a life that was never ahead of you to begin with. All of it begins to melt in the presence of your awareness. Because truth, when finally remembered, doesn't demand that you strive. It invites you to surrender. Let it all soften now. The tension in your shoulders, the expectation in your mind, the anxious pull toward what's next. Let it all fall away like old skin that no longer fits the soul you're becoming. You've tried the chase. You've run after the horizon and found that it only moved farther away. Now you know your peace was never there. Your joy was never there. It was always here, breathing quietly inside you, waiting to be let in. And perhaps the most courageous thing you can do with your life is not to keep running, but to stop, to look around and finally see what has always been with you. The laughter of your child, the glow of early morning light on your kitchen counter, the way your heart breaks open, not because of pain, but because it's finally full enough to feel it all. This is what was meant for you, not a performance, not perfection, presence. You were not born to outrun your life. You were born to enter it, to taste it, to feel it, to breathe it in so deeply that your soul remembers its reason for coming here. Not to accumulate, but to awaken. Not to prove your worth, but to embody it. Not to reach a distant summit, but to sit fully inside the sacredness of now. And the miracle is, you don't have to wait another second to begin. You only have to choose to be still, choose to breathe, choose to open your eyes, not with judgment, but with wonder. What you see now, this moment, unembellished and real, is the canvas upon which your life is being painted. The colors have always been in your hands. You were never meant to find meaning later. You were meant to create it now, with your presence, with your love, with your full attention. The future will come. It always does. But it will come differently when you are no longer desperate for it. It will arrive not as your salvation, but as a reflection of the peace you've already chosen within. Life will meet you not where you're going, but where you truly are. And when you are here, fully here, the future unfolds not in resistance, but in harmony, not in striving, but in grace. This is the quiet revolution of awakening. To live in a world obsessed with tomorrow, yet choose to rest inside today, to hold yourself with reverence, even when there is no applause. To stop editing your life into a version that pleases others, and begin honoring the version that pleases your soul. Because the life you long for is not waiting somewhere ahead, it's waiting for your attention. And so now, return. Return to this moment with devotion. Return to your breath as if it were a prayer. Return to your inner stillness, not as an escape, but as a homecoming. Let yourself arrive without needing a reason. Let your heart unclench. Let your mind exhale. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are here. And here is holy. Look at your life not as a project to be managed, but as a miracle to be felt. There is no final destination you must reach to be worthy. There is no gold medal for missing your own existence. The soul does not keep score, it only wants you to remember. To remember what it feels like to be alive without needing to be anywhere else. To remember that fulfillment is not hidden in time, but awakened in presence. And now you know. You know the secret the world forgot to teach you, that you do not need to chase your life. You only need to meet it. Meet it in the eyes of a stranger, in the quiet between your thoughts, in the whisper of your own heartbeat. This is where your real life lives, not someday, but today. Not elsewhere, but here. Not later, but now. Let your legacy be presence. Let your offering be attention. Let your life be a testament not to the places you've reached, but to the depth with which you truly lived. And when your time comes to leave this world, may you not regret the dreams you didn't chase, but celebrate the moments you did not miss. Don't miss your life chasing a future. Your soul is not in a hurry. Your peace is not in a plan. Your life is already happening. Be here for it. Now, in the stillness that remains, in the breath you just took, in the awareness that is expanding, even now you have arrived. You have not missed it, and you never will again. Welcome home.